So here is an example of how he took openly responsibility, but not only responsibility, as I mentioned in the process, in the trial, Landsberg 1924, where he said, Ludendorff, he's not guilty, I'm guilty, punish me. But it's another thing that he's also the moral conscience, also that he helped others to relieve when they are when they are openly like against the Jews or things that are morally incorrect. He says also this burden I take from you. For example, Hermann Göring openly said this sentence like ich habe kein Gewissen. Mein Gewissen heißt Adolf Hitler. I have no conscience. My conscience is called Adolf Hitler. That's very well put from Hermann Göring. He was also a master in in such formulations. So here we see that also Göring, he knew, okay, that's morally incorrect, but he will take the responsibility. Hitler's motto was also never admit a mistake. A lie must be repeated until it becomes truth, until it is believed. This is not only typical for Adolf Hitler, like it's very common in politics. We know the case of the former American President Clinton. I know that it was discussed also in Germany when his affair was with his Lewinsky, the Lewinsky affair, and also the journalist said that Clinton said, a lie must be repeated, and then people will believe. All these traits helped him rise as a kind of noble pilot. It's here in the background while he is doing this burden, also moral burden, bad things. I take responsibility, not Ludendorff. It's also like I'm showing I'm noble. I'm the one dying for you. So it's a little bit, it's also like a grandiose noblesse he is playing in his narcissistic role. And as some journalists put it, he was like a noble pilot piloting, rising to the top of the party. That was a formulation some journalists used in the 20s. And yet, as Peter Longerich, the German historian, later rightly states and analyzes in his biography, which was only like 10 years ago published in Germany, so quite fresh work, he later analyzes that his rapid ascent, so his rapid rising after the so-called homeless years in Vienna in 1911, 12, 13, and so on, up to in the 20s when he became the Führer, this rise remains a mystery. Now we speak about negative traits, and yes, he had also negative traits. No wonder, nobody wonders, I think. Walter Langer, our psychologist, then lists also a number of contradictory characteristics that were documented by his environment. His teachers, for example, are also classmates in Austria, a family from the family doctor, Dr. Bloch, and later by his aides, and so on. Yeah, let's see in detail. Let's see in detail which negative traits Hitler have. Let's go for the school years and his youth. Even in school, he only did that what he wanted. That is also the analysis of Walter Langer. And he also studied only that what he liked. Only that's what was interesting that he's done. What is not interested, I'm doing nothing. He was successful in those subjects, receiving good grades where it pleased him. But he never applied himself to anything that did not interest him. I think it's quite typical for young adolescents, so that's not such a big thing. I think I was also one such example, like not doing. I think this is quite ordinary, but maybe Hitler was in this quite extreme, and he was like consistent. He also consistent. He was very consistent in this also after the use as an adult. Also, he is doing this. In the year before his mother's death and during the subsequent Vienna years, so after 1908, the mother died in December 21 in 97, and after that Hitler went to Vienna, as we know, with his big dream to get an artist, which was not successful. Yeah, there he made a little effort he made quite little effort to work regularly, for example. He was occasionally painting a watercolor picture. He sold the painting and did nothing more until the money was gone. That's also showing his motivation to doing something he does not like to do. Yeah, and later in this 30, when his political career was rising, especially after 32, when the Nazi party were on top and gained the most votes in the parliament, many described him as irregular, careless, and incapable also of consistent work. As a politician, he would arrive late and not keep to the schedule, as many of his party comrades reported. Even at major events, people had to wait for him. Let me give an example from the election campaign prior to the Reichstag election of July 1932. We have to mention that on the other hand, Hitler worked a lot. So he held a lot of speeches because there were a lot of election campaigns in this time. So that's also not really fair to say that he did not do nothing. But in general, it is true that people described him like incapable of consistent work. Yeah, in 1932, however, there was such example. The newspaper Fair Berliner Zeitung, published in the region around Berlin, wrote in its issue of April 26, 1932. It was a very special campaign because it was a very it was a very important electoral campaign because Hitler tried to get to be chancellor. So there were realistic chances that Hitler would to be chancellor already in 32, but this was not. This at the end he did not succeeded in this 32 year. On April 22, the newspaper writes. On April 22 in 1932, an NSDAP rally was held at the Schützenplatz in Neuruppin with 60,000 participants. First, Dr. Schlange and Prince August Wilhelm of Hohenzollern spoke. The third speaker, Adolf Hitler, arrived more than an hour late. But this did not disturb the waiting crowd. For them, the concert, there were music, and the display of so-called Hitler planes flying over the square provided sufficient entertainment. At 7 p.m., Hitler finally began his speech, accusing the government and the system of destroying the German people, so the system, the Weimar system. Whoever wants to end this misery, he declared, must on Sunday vote against the government and for Adolf Hitler. Ja,